Ever heard of a killer? I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
So I said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Y'all come on in. I am here to talk about something that has went viral on TikTok, but hasn't necessarily hit other social media as of yet. And I'm hoping after today, it will. There is a there's a couple of viral videos on the TikTok platform that has raised concerns about human trafficking and the trafficking that is happening within our seas or our ports essentially that handle shipping containers at sea. You know, the big shipping containers that get put on the boats, the huge cargo boats. And for some reason, I'm not seeing not even a single news article really on this topic. Yet I have seen a couple of content creators, specifically in the TikTok arena, that have weighed in on this. But here we go. Imagine, and listen, I don't know if this is exactly true or not. I am trying to confirm this on whether or not strikes are happening at the Vancouver port because of the screaming that is being heard in shipping containers at this port. That's right. People going to work and hearing at the port in Vancouver, okay? And people are hearing others scream. Scream. Now, I'm hearing workers are quitting, workers are striking because they've been hearing these cries and these screams echo through these Vancouver shipping containers.
Sorry, I'm having trouble
for
understanding right now.
a long
Please try a little
time.
later.
For a long time now. Okay. Very concerning. I'm going to play a video. But it may not be just Vancouver. Back on October 2nd, ABC News did publish a very small report about dock workers walking off the job, clogging dozens of ports along the East and Gulf Coast, potentially rising consumer prices. That was Biden's administration's concern. And that shipping ports account for more than half of the United States container imports, facilitating everything from toys to fresh fruit to nuclear reactors. Okay. But is it possible that part of the reason why this may be happening is because there are people hearing screaming happening at these ports, specifically in Vancouver? Nobody seems to be doing anything about it. What is going on? Now, there is a trend called Open the Containers that is went viral, like I said, mostly on TikTok. I've not seen a single news article really even talk about this in depth, because maybe people are avoiding it. I don't know why. But I want you all to hear something.
Hey, we get
Latest example of international human trafficking, 35.
That's not all. No, there's another video, and there's also a woman who went viral because she said, hey, you know what? F that port. They know that there's people in those shipping containers and they aren't doing anything about it. We're talking about children, men, women. Hold that thought for me. Hold that thought. Because I've got it up here. Already up on my phone. I'm just going to play it here so that you guys can hear this. It's so evident that there's people screaming inside of those containers, folks. Are people striking? Can anyone confirm that union workers are striking because of what they are hearing in these containers? They say that, and this is just the talk, that these screams are loud, deafening, and happen every single day. Every single day. Hold one moment, please. All right, I want you to listen to this. I can't tell you how many times in stories we've heard on the news of people being found dead in shipping containers. And listen, the human trafficking crime is a huge epidemic that is just smacking, I think, many of us in the face, right? But the human trafficking epidemic at sea is big.
Staff here at the port became aware
All right,
of
it's
screaming and
big.
banging.
Let me just show you one more news article that, again, we need some news agencies to speak on this.
Staff here at the port became aware of screaming and banging coming from a container from that particular ship.
Pounding and beating on the walls of that trailer, trying to get out.
And if you can imagine the heat, no air conditioning.
Can we just think for a moment
of what it must have been like for those 39 people, obviously in a desperate and dangerous situation, for their lives to end, suffocated to death in a container.
Found the trailers with a body outside and several that they could visibly see inside once the doors were opened.
35 patients were found in the container when we first arrived.
You don't end up with 35 people in a container for no reason.
So we sent the truck out to pick up the container.
Started pulling it up. It was so heavy, it just it broke the winch. I saw it myself. I couldn't believe it. And it's just, just little bitty babies, just all torn in pieces. Their heads chopped off, arms, legs, just
a gruesome discovery. Police say they found 39 bodies inside a container truck.
The court's paperwork is giving us a better idea of what exactly happened in those shipping containers.
We hope that those responsible for putting these people in such humane conditions are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Guys, what is happening? What is happening? Now, it's not uncommon, me living here in Texas, where there's been countless, all right, countless stories of people getting in the back of trucks, big rigs, containers that are pulled by big rigs. Listen, these containers go straight from shipping ports onto trucks. They get attached to a truck, and these trucks then pull these containers, these 52-foot long containers. All right. That's how our nation moves cargo. That's how a lot of our cargo gets around. It's not, like I said, it's not uncommon in Texas where we've heard stories of people being found dead. There was a massive story a few years ago it wasn't Fort Worth, it was San Antonio, where an entire full 52-foot long container was found with over 80 people in it dead, who come from a variety of different countries trying to get into the United States, regardless of what they're doing, whether they're traveling legally, illegally, trying to come into the United States legally or illegally or any other country. They don't deserve to be crammed into these shipping containers and murdered by these traffickers that are making millions. You see, human trafficking is a billion-dollar industry. Billion-dollar industry.
There's people screaming there every night. I've heard it for myself. The city's trying to cover it up, trying to get everybody out of here because they know there's people in those fucking bins. Fuck that port! There's people screaming there every night. I've heard it for myself. The city's trying to cover it up, trying to get everybody out of here because they know there's people in those fucking bins. Fuck that port! There's people screaming there every night. I've heard it for myself. The city's trying to cover it up, trying to get everybody out of here because they know there's people in those fucking bins.
All right. So basically, you get the gist. That's a resident in Vancouver who went viral a few days ago. Now, you can see people surrounding the port. There's a lot of talk about the port right now. You can see people have got their cameras up, people sitting there surrounded, talking about whatever they're talking about, right? And you've got someone who walks by and says, hey, man, F that port. There are people in those containers and people know it and nobody's doing anything about it. Now, imagine working at the Port of Vancouver. Now, the goal is to get all of those containers stacked quickly, efficiently, so that these loads can go on about their business, right? But what if you're sitting there working and you start hearing the screams of children, men and women screaming, trying to just begging for someone to let them out. They don't even care anymore at this point about getting to whatever destination it was they was trying to get to. Okay. Let me give a special shout out to the chat, you all. I'm just now looking at it. Shout out to Cuban Crisis. Much love to you, sir. Dolly Llamas T, it's good to see you. Emmanuel Briggs, always a pleasure. Yes, human trafficking is the largest business in America. Globally, it's huge. It's all about the money. Third Eye, good to see you as well. Yes, some coyotes, and that is in a coyote, as Cuban Crisis is familiar with, a coyote is a name for a person who arranges the trafficking of people. Okay, they're called coyotes. And I've also heard that some coyotes charge $60,000 US dollars for 4 to 6 family members to go to whatever destination they're trying to get them to. It's not always America, but 9 times out of 10 it is. But man, listen, I personally cannot blame someone for wanting to come to this country. I will never do that. And again, you all know I grew up here in Texas, and I have friends, good friends, that aren't legal. Why aren't they legal? Because their moms or dads brought them here when they were babies or after they were born, trying to better their lives. They ain't never caused no problems for anybody. I grew up in a place, it's just, where maybe half the people I look at maybe don't have papers. It's none of my business. I don't give a damn. Yeah, I could say, you should, work like everybody else and go get your papers and all of that. But guys, it's just not that easy all the time. And yeah, I can't help who I know. So I just have a different bit of perspective on immigration. Of course, I don't like to see an immigrant come into the country and murder somebody. And those cases always draw attention. They always do, and they always will. But just because somebody's in a shipping container trying to go to another country to better their life, it doesn't mean that their cries should be ignored as if the value of that person is less, because it's just not the case. You know how many people that have really grown to become something in this world who may have been, an immigrant at one point? I mean, Donald Trump is coming into office now. His wife, her coming into America has always been under question. I hear she's not even coming to the White House during this second term of his. I hear she's not interested in moving into the White House full time. That's her prerogative. It's very sad, Dolly. It's very, very sad. It's shoes that I don't want to wear. And I'm grateful and thankful that I don't have to wear those shoes. It gets really scary for people when Republicans take office, because generally for people that may not have their papers yet. And I say that because Republicans tend to be more aggressive in their hunt for illegal immigrants. And the one thing that we all need to be aware of is not only did Donald Trump pull the presidency, he also pulled the Senate and the House. So we're talking about all, I say all three entities, but the presidency, the House, and the Senate are all going to be Republican led. A lot of times you can have a Republican president with a Democratic, and I mean the party, Democratic ran House or Democratic ran Senate. That's why you've seen so much flack between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump when he was in office the first time. But see, this time when he comes in office, the House and Senate are going to be Republican led, and it is likely that they will do everything Donald Trump tells them to do. Versus if it was democratically led by the Democratic Party, they would give, Trump's presidency more of a harder time. Those of you who wanted Trump, here he comes. Okay, here he comes. And I've been saying it. His assassination attempt raised his profile a lot higher. I didn't think his profile could get any higher. But listen, Donald Trump never ceases to amaze me at times. The fact that he clinched the presidency the second time. And I can't help but to say that look who he was running against. Okay, you had Biden, who ended up dropping out of the race, giving it over to his VP, Kamala, who has spent a lifetime, a career, imprisoning people. See, people don't like that shit. Kamala Harris has put a lot of people in prison, guys. And that's just the truth. She's imprisoned a lot of people. Even was going after people at one point when it came down to truancy. But she's imprisoned a lot of people, and there's no denying that. And people just don't like that. Now, she made a point to run her campaign on law and order. But man, let me tell you something. Americans are sick and tired of the law and order around here. We're sick and tired of these crooked ass cops and these crooked ass police agencies who have been infiltrated by racists all the way to the top. Yes. Ku Kluxmans, KKK-mans. Ku Kluxmans. Cluck, 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 cluck. Cluck, 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 cluck. They like to wear those white sheets on their head because they're too pussy to put their face out there. They're lawyers, doctors, accountants, marketing directors, right? And then police officers. And some of our major police organizations, LA, Dallas, Houston. I mean, for God's sakes, we still have sundown towns in Texas where you don't want to be black and be caught in that town with the sun down. Real talk. Not even a couple years ago, we had one that's in between Dallas and Houston. I won't even name the town. Pulling people over, stealing their money. Taking their money. We've got a town here in Texas where all the bad cops that have been, fired from the force for killing people, police brutality, et cetera, for some reason, they seem to find a place at this particular police agency in mid-Texas. Don't know why, but they do. And there's literally one officer for like every 5 people in this town. They write more tickets. It's crazy. Yes, Vidor, Texas. Yes. Yep, that's a known town that you just don't even want to be in. You don't even want to drive through. Don't get any gas. Don't stop. Go to the next one. And yes, then there's a situation of building a raft and going into the ocean. Both are very extreme. But if you were a port worker in Vancouver or any other port, Seattle, all the other ports, Galveston, around the world, and you heard people screaming from these shipping containers, what would you do? Why are we not hearing more about this? Why hasn't a single news agency written an article? NBC News, ABC, CNN, CBS, BBC, Sky News, TMZ. You all know human trafficking is absolutely happening and is at an all-time high, not only in this country, but around the world. When we literally hear people, these chilling screams at these at this port, you've got residents that are saying, hey, it's true. We hear screaming every night. Nobody's doing anything about it. Will anybody do anything about it now? So now we're going to cross the TikTok barrier. We're going to bring this into YouTube. We're going to bring this into Twitter/X. We're going to bring this into Rumble. We're going to bring this into Facebook. Are any content creators going to speak on this to try to raise awareness? Y'all know as well as I do that there are people being shipped in those containers. Whether or not they paid to go in those containers or not is of that, talk is of no value to me. They don't deserve to die in the shipping containers. And what about the shipping containers that fall off the boats all the time? Y'all ever heard those stories or, see people that'll find a shipping container at sea just floating? By golly, man. How many have ever fell off those boats that had human beings in them? It's very drastic. That sounds like a woman screaming to me. That sounds like a woman screaming to me. Oh my God. There's no doubt in my mind that it's happening. What are we going to do about it? Are we all just going to talk, post on TikTok, or is any authority figure going to actually do something about it? I encourage everyone tomorrow morning to call the Port of Vancouver and ask them, is it true? Are there people screaming in those shipping containers at your port, which then makes it your responsibility? And what are you doing about it? What is the plan? What is the DR plan? There's got to be something documented, Third Eye. And who's getting paid at the ports to get these shipping containers in with human cargo? Somebody is. Listen, before I get up out of here, folks, allow me to pay a few bills if you don't mind.
Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
All right, folks, before I leave, let me leave this information with you. To contact the Port of Vancouver, they can be reached at +1 604 665 9000. They also have a website, portvancouver.com. I encourage you to also send them emails at community.feedback@portvancouver.com. I will also be proceeding to do this tonight, and we'll see what type of response I get back. But I encourage anyone who hears this, bring it up, mention it, and just try to do your part if you can. It's better than nothing, because it seems like nothing is happening right now. Listen, you all, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. Shout out to all of you that came through. Unseen Soldier, good to see you. I'm going to go ahead and close things up. I will catch you all on the next live. Until next time, everyone.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.